Prusa always says they're going to be releasing new printers on Friday, but last I checked, it's Wednesday, and we got a new printer! Let's go. Let's learn. The Prusa SL1S. I am Jonah Hill fanboying over here, all about this brand new Prusa SL1S. And if you are too, make sure you leave this video a like and get subscribed, because boy howdy, this is a really cool machine. They just announced it. And yes, the video's coming out 24 hours after they announced it, but editing takes a while. Sue me. I am so excited for this. I can't imagine what Elegoo, Anycubic, and some of the other cheap resin 3D printer companies are thinking right now. By the way, if you want to learn about some of those, link right there in the card. This printer is not cheap, right? It is not cheap at all. They're claiming a $2,000 price tag, but let's watch this video. By the way, whoever did the editing on this needs a raise. Or they should come work for us. 'Cause, damn. Such a good video. It looks just like the SL1, like, exterior-wise. It's got the mono screen, which we want to see. And super fast. I said, well, most monos do that. Most monos are very fast, and we know that. But they're claiming 1.5 second times. And I want to go back there real quick to see if any of you just missed something that they showed you. Right there. That is a cooling vent for the freaking screen! That's why mono screens die. They get so hot. They deteriorate and die. And Prusa thought about this, and they put a cooling vent in for the screen. At least I'm pretty certain that's what that is. It's only on one side, so I'm going to take a educated guess and say that's a cooling vent for the screen. It could be part of the screen tilt mechanism, but I'm pretty certain it's a cooling vent for the screen. The prints look gorgeous. Quality looks right there on par with what you'd expect from a LCD regular printer. Of course, they have the resin tanks that tilt, that not just stir the resin, but it does prevent that layer shift by reducing the overall peel forces. And yes, it's 3 times faster tilting than the SL1, which is good. It's using a ball screw versus a lead screw, which is so much better. And of course it is going to print, it's going to print faster than the SL1, because the SL1 is an RGB LCD screen. This is a monochrome LCD screen. The industry went through the mono screen craziness about 6 to 9 months ago when Elegoo released the Mars 2 and the Mars 2 Pro, which both had mono screens. That was kind of the first big mono screen printer that we saw on the market. Prusa is finally catching up, and that's okay, because their development is what matters here, right? These aren't your $200 resin printers. This is a $2,000 printer. But I don't think the price is all that unreasonable. We're going to talk about it. Insane. 4 hours at 0.5mm layer heights. All right. So here's something I want to talk about. It says all competitor printers are using monoscreen technology tested at 0.05mm layer height with optimal settings and slicer provided from the manufacturer. This is no surprise to me. And I think the big deal is that Chitubox specifically, which is the slicer that most of the cheap mono 3D printers use, is not a great software. And we're going to be talking about that soon, so make sure you get subscribed, because the Resin series of slicer is coming right after the FDM one, and then we're gonna get into support material. It's gonna be fun. I think it's gonna be fun, and I think you'll enjoy it too. But man, look at this time. Now, we can say that this is 7 minutes, this is 4 minutes, so this is probably somewhere in the 5-minute range, 5, maybe 6. That's a significant difference. Now, the pricing comes in here, and they're saying, yes, we're up to 3 times faster than the competition, but I can get 4 Elegoo Saturns for the price of one of these machines. And this is the hard part for me, right? This is the really hard part for me, because I like the SL1 and I really like the SL1S. It's a massive improvement over the SL1. Look at the times here, right? Huge time difference. And I know that it's worth every dime, right? The cost to produce it, right? Remember, businesses produce things to make money, but the cost to produce this machine likely costs more than $1,000. It is built like a tank. And that's totally fine. But you have to recognize that it is going to survive things that your Elegoo Saturn won't. And if that's okay to you, then go buy the Elegoo Saturn, right? Prusa's not building this machine to compete with the Saturn and the Mars 2 Pro. They're not trying to do it. Yes, they're showing you that there's a big difference between it, but this is a prosumer grade printer where the Saturn and the Mars 2 Pro and the Mars 2 are not really prosumer, right? They're very much driven toward the consumer. Otherwise, their price point wouldn't be where they're at, right? To get a printer for $200 that does resin is insane and, quite frankly, a little too cheap as far as I'm concerned. But Prusa is providing you with so many extra features like the resin tank tilt, a cooler for the LCD screen, stackable resin tanks, I think we get to in just a bit in the video, as well as a ball screw linear motion and a system that I bet the ball screw system for this printer weighs as much as a Mars 2 Pro. Ball screws are incredibly heavy. We just built a ball screw array for one of our machines. Yeah, ball screws are really heavy, and they have zero backlash, whereas lead screws can wiggle a little bit. Ball screws don't have that problem. And yeah, Prusa put their money where their mouth is for this one, and I love it. 25% bigger build volume. Okay, so the 127 by 80 by 150, that's 25% larger than their own SL1. When we look at the Mars 2 Pro, it's Mars 2 Pro, that's reasonably in line. It's a little bit bigger, but it is smaller on the Z-axis. I do know that. Again, that rigid frame is going to matter. Look at that gorgeous print with the rigid frame and the ball screw. This is insane. Full build volume in under 2 hours in the draft mode. Draft mode, they're saying, is 0.1 millimeter layers, which you really, I believe, have to tune on the cheaper resin printers. So this is nice to see that Prusa is, of course, going to provide pre-tuned profiles. So if you are a business and you are trying to get in the business of printing minis or jewelry, this printer is going to be a damn good value as far as I'm concerned. And that excites the hell out of me. Affordable resin tanks with stackable lids. Oh my god, yes, please. Yes, please, yes, please, yes, please. The one-time calibration is gorgeous. Prototyping, jewelry, medical, which that is gorgeous. By the way, let's go back to that real quick. That is showing that they are dyeing the resin during the print, which is really cool, because you see that they added some dye in there at some point, and that's why I believe it's harder on the ends than it is in the middle for the actual dye process. But that's really cool. Gorgeous prints, too. I mean, exactly what you expect out of this. By the way, love the touch with the Prusa FDM 3D printed knob. Gotta love it. Also, and I know I'm being persnickety here, I really prefer the screen covers that open up. The Elegoo Mars and the Saturn, you have to pick up the entire lid, and it makes them impossible to really put a shelf above them because you have to have enough space for basically double the height of the machine to make it work. This is awesome, and that allows you to not just have to pick it up completely. You can just open it 90 degrees, stick a magnet to the lid and have it magnetized to something above it, and it's going to hold the lid open while you work on the machine. Amazing. This is really, to me, one of the greatest things about this printer. It's got an actual usable touchscreen, for God's sakes, that runs you through everything. I could rant about the friggin' screens on Elegoo's machines. They're functional, right? They get the job done. They're good enough for government work, but they're not amazing, and Prusa really makes it amazing. And this gives me lots of hope for more machines coming out of Prusa that we might get beautiful LCD touchscreens like this from Prusa. Amazing. They even show you that they went through and did the uniform UV light exposure. It works with everybody's resins, including their own, of course, which is awesome. The huge library of fine-tuned profiles. And I mentioned this in the Prusa Slicer video, which we'll card to right here. The fact that Prusa provides you with basically everything you need to succeed, ready to go, and literally resins from tons of companies. There's eSun on here, Druck Wedge, Dragon Resin, Blue Cast, even 3DM Resin, which is not us, which is hilarious. It'd be funny if we came out with our own resin, but all these different resin profiles, it's amazing. Oh my god, yes, 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 yes! Freaking resin sensors! I can't describe how many prints I've lost because we forgot to add more resin, or we thought we had enough and we didn't. Oh, that's amazing! And I don't know how it works, and I want to get my hands on one of these to find out. But oh my gosh, amazing resin sensors! Oh, this industry needed this so bad. I am sure if you own a resin printer that you have lost a print because you thought you had enough resin and you didn't. This is awesome. Awesome, 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 awesome. Did I mention it's awesome? Unfortunately, being open source means this is bound to be on basically every cheap resin printer moving forward. But it is still really, really cool. I'm curious to see how they do it, but that is so cool. So freaking cool. Easily accessible workspace. I complained about this just before, and I'm going to complain about it again. The fact that I can just hinge the cover up makes it amazing. It's why we almost went with the Anycubic Photon, the original Photons, when we were looking at resin printers, because the Photons had the lid cover that hinged up rather than pulled off completely, but their price was too high, and the Mars, original Mars, was very cheap. I love this. Ball screw the world! As far as I'm concerned, ball screw the world! Every printer should be using ball screws. They are coming down in price so much. The printer that we have a ball screw Z-axis for has a 1 meter long ball screw, and it cost me less than $100 delivered. Okay? Think about it. That is dirt cheap for something that has incredibly precise motion systems. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. And filtration, are you kidding me right now? Low odor operation, activated carbon filter. Freaking amazing. And of course, Prusa Slicer is awesome. Web interface too. I mean, guys, come on. I'm sorry, but like, if you're a business looking to get into the world of SLA 3D printing and MSLA 3D printing, I don't know if I can recommend... I probably still can recommend the Mars 2. Yeah, I definitely can. I mean, they're like $250 versus $2,000, but I don't know. It's a hard bargain because so many people want it cheap, right? This printer is not cheap, but it's deliberately not cheap. 4-in-1, so it's got your washing. By the way, look at that agitation. That's pretty great. We have a video coming up soon about Anycubic's new big chungus of a washing and curing station, so get subscribed for that. That has an 8-liter capacity, so massive. It's designed to be used on their Mono X and their new Mono X Pro, and the Elegoo Saturn also fits it. Drying is awesome. Not a lot of curing stations out there do that, so I love the drying and curing. But one thing that I thought is amazing is resin preheating. So let's talk about that. Great place to pause, Grant. Good job. Resin preheating is amazing. For engineering resins like Soraya Blue, by the way, link to resin materials here, they need to be hot. They need to print hot. And because they're viscous, you can preheat the resin, so you put it into your printer, and your printer's going to generally maintain that heat because of the heat from the UV LED lights. Guys, upgrade path, upgrade, let me upgrade you, Prusa says. And if you bought the original SL1, you can upgrade it to the SL1S, which is so cool. Tremendous, even. Tremendous for sure. I love it. This is cool. You can order sample prints. I love that. Not a lot of companies are doing that. I know Formlabs does it. Now Prusa is doing it. This is great. It enables you to try before you buy. And of course, Prusa's own platform has a print service where you are able to contract users out there to do prints for you, which is totally cool. Let's take a look at their actual press release. So this is the actual press release for it. Yeah, everything from 80 millimeters per hour using the 0.1 millimeter draft and transparent resin, which is interesting because you want to make sure that UV light does go through. It is great for prototyping, and because it is resin, it is going to be faster and cleaner than FDM, right? Even if you're running 0.1 millimeter layers on your FDM printer, or even 0.05 millimeter layers, which of course Prusa enables through Prusa Slicer, you are still going to have better quality prints on MSLA. Every single time, that's the way it works. The tilt platform is 3 times faster. That is great, and especially for those that want to put mica or dye, anything that you want to dope your resins with to make it shiny, sparkly, colored, whatever. There are very few ways on these cheap resin printers out there to mix in colorants that might have a chance to sink, and that's a pain in the ass. This enables that, and because it's faster, I think it's going to mix better. Now, we have some friends out there that do ball joint doll prints that are always a little bit crazy when it comes to colors, pigments, and all that. And that was one of their big complaints about some of these other machines, is that they have no way of making sure that mica powder or the glitter or whatever they're putting in there stays suspended in the fluid. And a resin tilt platform that tilts 3 times fast, I bet that's gonna solve that problem. I'm loving it. But look at just, oh man, that is just so beautiful. So beautiful. I love quality engineering where people actually took the time to do things right. This looks like they took the time to do right. And on a black PCB, chef's kiss beautiful. It is, yeah, it gets the engineer in me like, yeah! And not the yeah that I have for Cricut where I'm mad. It's yeah because I'm excited and I want one of these so freaking bad. New LED array, which is typical, right? When you launch a new printer like that, you're gonna have a new LED array, but it looks like they're totally interchangeable, which makes it really convenient if you need to do servicing. Let's think about it. A $2,000 printer is not a throwaway for most of us, right? A $200 Elegoo Mars, once it burns through a screen or two, it's time to just get rid of it and get a bigger printer or get a different one. At a $2,000 price point, everything needs to be easy to work on. Otherwise, it just doesn't result in a viable source, okay? This is really where they come into, right? Now I'm just gonna read it for you. The new original Prusa SL1S Speed Edition. I added edition. I think it sounds better with Speed Edition. Uses the same tilt mechanism for highly reliable printing as the SL1. It's true. The tilt mechanism reduces the overall peel force every layer, which allows you to use less support material to keep your model from popping off the damn build platform. On machines like the Elegoo Saturn, Anycubic Photon, and all those, you have to add a lot more support than what is actually necessary to make sure that the stupid thing doesn't delaminate from its own support material or the build platform. Tilting tanks allow that peel force to gradually come off rather than all at once incredibly strong. And there you go. The peel forces are lower. I was just talking about that. I should have just read the whole stupid thing, Grant. You would have seen it. It also stirs resin, allows it to distribute evenly. And that matters if you don't have your printer perfectly level, which you should do. If your resin printers aren't level, make sure you do level them out so that as your resin drains, it drains evenly. You don't end up with a high spot and a low spot where you might end up running out of resin. And it is 2 to 3 times faster compared to non-tilting machines because you can raise the part out of the vat much faster because you are reducing those peel forces. They push the mechanism even further with the SL1S. The tilting motion runs for 5 to 8 seconds on the SL1, but they shaved it all the way down to 3 seconds on the SL1S. So that whole process to lift up the part is reduced considerably. I love it. These prints are also really gorgeous. That ball screw is truly to blame here for a lot of these changes and the fact that everything is rigid. And like all MSLA printers, they expose the entire layer at once. So really the only factor for time is not just your exposure every layer, but how tall your part is. It takes the same amount of time to make one as it does to make 15. Yes, 15. There is so much here. We're going to link to everything in the description down below so you guys can take a look at it. But Mikolas just tweeted that he did all the editing on this. So Mikolas, my hat is off to you, sir. I don't wear a hat, but if I did, I would tip it to you. Amazing editing. I probably can't afford you, but I wish I could. Damn. Just damn. And the useful little upgrades, right? They've redesigned the print platform, so now it has angled sides. That helps the resin drain better and not pool on the top. The firmware picks up right where the old one left off, so that's beautiful as well. And the initial setup is a lot easier utilizing that new firmware on the screen. And of course, as Prusa does, they're going to support the SL1 and the SL1S with the new firmware updates. So if you don't decide to make the update to the SL1S, and I don't know why you wouldn't, you should, but if you don't, they're still going to support the software. Look at this, $24.99 for a freaking vat, and the vat is a high quality graphite reinforced PA6 composite. It's graphite colored nylon, it's black nylon. There you go, magic. And that enables them to lower the price because they were using a fully aluminum tank before. I dig this, and Prusa just got some injection molding, so they're probably doing it all in-house, which is pretty darn cool. And the opaque lid allows them to stack, which is so valuable. I happen to have a tank for a Mars here, and the lid isn't stackable! Right? Yeah. No. Not stackable. Really frustrating if you need to stack tanks because, yeah, it's gonna be a problem, okay? Stackable lids, I know it sounds ridiculous, but that's a big feature to me, okay? If you're a business owner, you should have multiple tanks around, especially if you're having multiple colors, but have spare tanks so that as your FEP wears down, you're able just to quickly swap tanks. This would also allow you to swap tanks mid-print relatively easily without too much BS. Their wash and cure machine, I talked about it in the video, absolutely astounding. I am excited for it. I think it really does a lot of value here, okay? You can preheat the resins. The removable rotating platform is now protected by a replaceable FEP film, making the maintenance even more effortless. I did not think about that. That's actually a really smart idea to put FEP film on your build platform for when you're doing your curing because the resin doesn't stick hardcore to FEP. That's ridiculous. It's brilliant, but it's ridiculous. How did nobody think of this prior? Just boom, mind freaking blown. Yeah, I'm excited. This is just beautiful. It's $1,000 US. The CW1S is $750, but it's $600, right? So $2,600 if you buy it as a bundle, and the upgrade kit is gonna be $400. That's a pretty cheap price, guys. All right, if you have an SL1, honestly, spend the $400. Don't just save up for the mini later. Buy that kit, buy it now, so that you can upgrade your SL1 to the SL1S, and that actually makes the SL1 cheaper than the SL1S. So they're not selling the SL1 anymore. SL1 was like $1,400, I think, as a kit. But building this as a kit would be a real pain in the butt, and I think that's why Prusa isn't doing the kit anymore, because the kits really did take a long time, and I don't think it really saved anybody a ton of money. I think it was $1,400 for the kit and $1,800 for the fully assembled. that $400 you're going to spend in your time, I guarantee you. There are all your technical specs for everyone that likes the technical spec kind of stuff. This is common, 500 hours for LCD, 2,000 for monochrome. That's very common. Slightly larger print volume. They've just gone from 68 to 80. That's great. Good speed for layer times. Yeah, I like it. I like it. Lots of good features right here, guys. But yeah, this is just a quick video all about the SL1S from Prusa. I say quick, but my recording time is 34 minutes, so we'll have to see how it comes down after editing. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this. Will you get the SL1S? How do you think it stacks up against other cheap resin 3D printers out there? How do you think it stacks up against its really prime competitor like the Formlabs Form 3? Let me know down in the comments. I'd love to know your opinion, because I don't know. I'm on the fence here. I think it kind of sits in its own price class. It's much cheaper than the Formlabs Form 3, so it can be smaller, because it is smaller, but it's way more expensive than, let's say, an Elegoo Saturn or an Elegoo Mars 2, which would be more of a one-to-one comparison. It's 10 times the price, or, 7 times the price, depending on when you buy those printers. Is it 7 times the printer? I don't think so. I think it's 5 times the printer, for sure. I do think it fails in that they're claiming it's 3 times faster, but when you consider the price, I can get a bunch of machines. It's why we got 7 Elegoo Marses originally instead of an SL1. I wanted the throughput of multiple machines. But they are now considerably faster than other machines out there. They're not really lagging behind anymore. And that gets me really excited, and I hope it does for you as well. But I will see you guys down in the comments. Don't forget to call your loved ones, and as always, keep making awesome. Have a good one. I'm loving it. I am... McDonald's? Burger King? McDonald's. I'm McDonald's because I'm loving it. I don't eat fast food. I don't remember these things. Hey, thanks for watching this video. If you like resin printing and you want to learn more about it, we've got a video all about resin 3D printing right below me. But hey, don't forget, we're going to be launching a Patreon soon, so your name could be scrolling right next to me as I'm talking. Get subscribed, leave a like, and I'll see you down in the comments. Have a good one.